Under the bright skies, only sunshine.
What's up, guys? Topnotch here, back with another episode of Topnotch Tips. This is episode number 3. Today we're going to be learning about drifts and burnouts, the difference between the two, and techniques to help you out in the process when you're just starting out. Alright, let's get right into shredding some tires. Alright, first we're going to start out with the rolling burnout. All this really requires is a little bit of the front brake, a little gas, and dumping the clutch. You can either do this rolling or stationary. Stationary is a little bit harder because it requires a lot more balance. For the rolling burnout, you really want to get the weight off the ass end of the bike. So that's why you see a lot of guys rolling forward up on the tank. That's going to allow the weight to get off the rear and keep that tire spinning. When starting out the burnout, you kind of want to do everything at the same time, letting out the clutch and dumping the gas at the same time, and also kind of shifting your weight forward a little bit. That kind of helps get everything going and getting the back tire spinning. If you want to shift gears, you can. That creates a lot more smoke. I struggle with shifting gears, so I'm not going to show that for you. Now we're going to work on drifts. Drifts are a little bit different than burnouts. They can be a little bit more scarier as well. They require no front brake. It's all gas, and you can lock up the rear brake to get it started. That's why it's a little bit scarier, because it is all gas and it's no front brake whatsoever. A lot of times people get mixed up with burnouts and drifts. I'm not going to call you out, I don't really care, but if you are doing a rolling burnout, going in circles, and you call it a drift, somebody's going to call you out at some point saying that that's not a drift. But it does require a lot more gas than you would for a wheelie, so that can also be a little bit scary at first. But don't be scared to just go ahead and low side. I'll go ahead and show you a low side just so you can see that it's not bad. But it's going to be a lot better to give it too much gas than it is going to be not enough. Because if you do catch in high side, it hurts a lot more than it will a low side. You can start off at first by putting your foot down. That also helps with the confidence a lot and the balance. But you can also not give it enough gas and still high side, so you got to be careful of that. On drifts, you can kind of control how you want to do the drifts, to go wide or go in. If you want to go in, obviously you got to bring the wheel in tighter. If you want to start creeping out of the drift and go into a straight line, or to pop it into the other direction, you got to kind of start poking it out to the outside direction, and that'll kind of start widening you out of the circle to go into a straight line or to go into the other direction. All right, to initiate the drift, it's locking up the rear brake, slide into the familiar direction you like to go, and getting it decently low. The lower you go, the easier it is to brake the front or the rear wheel, but the harder it's going to be to stay balanced and not wash out. Tire pressure can also play an effect in here. You don't need to go pumping your tire up crazy high to 60, 80, 90, whatever it is. You can do it at your normal pressure. Obviously, it's going to be hard if you do it at 20. So if you're going to do it, I would recommend maybe like 35 to 40. And you can also learn how to ride at that. And then you won't have to be changing PSI to do certain types of riding. You can all keep the same PSI and not have to switch your tire around.
Drifting is a lot like burnouts. You want to try and keep a lot of the weight off the rear end. You don't have to be hunched over off the front like a burnout, but it does help to try and stay as light as possible on your feet. If you feel like you're coming out of the circle and you want to stay in it, it will require more gas. It helped me in the beginning to learn drifts to the left with my foot down, because you can initiate the brake and have your foot down at the same time. Going to the right in the beginning is a little bit more of a challenge because you can't have your foot down and hit the brake at the same time. The bigger sprocket setup will also be your friend for drifts. It just allows you to have a little bit more torque from the get-go, and you'll fire off and get that tire sliding a lot quicker. Once you're in the drift and sliding, you kind of just have to play it by throttle and feel. If you feel like you're kind of washing out, you kind of have to let off the gas for a second. And if you feel like you're losing it, you give it more gas and you'll stay in it.
Alright, and say you got to make a quick U-turn real quick. The drift comes in real handy. I'm not going to say why you might need it, but I'll show you.